So yeah, where was I? 65 years old. And now 3.5, nearly 4 years in after losing my dear Deb. That's been a rough journey, I can tell you now. But my little wing girl Bella has kept me company, and I've had a couple of adventures which have been lovely. So literally finding my way forward now. So the question that got me back on the road, so to speak, is if I've decided, as I have, to look at retiring by the end of next year, which is end of 2025. I've got a bit of leave stacked up in long service. What does retirement look like? And as I was doing my planning, obviously the money side of things is important. Where I want to be on in terms of travel, everybody wants to do a bit of travel. And I thought, what else? Well, it occurred as I was doing my homework that the World Health Organization has a statistic for people in our age group, our generation. It says in Australia, the average lifespan is about, 83 years old on average. A bit older for women, a bit younger for men. And I thought, that's good. Yeah, plenty of life. But as we know, the old body doesn't get any easier around that time. And there's a few years on that gentle path, if you like, to the next version. So what does that look like? And how much time do we really have to enjoy retirement? In the old days, and I mean 30, 40 years ago, the old days, you retired at 65 as a man, 55 I think it was for a woman, and in many cases for the guys, they were gone in 5 years. In those days, of course, you had a lot of manual labour, smokers, all the things. And, you retired to your beach house or whatever it is. If you're lucky, if you had a holiday house, or you were helping chase the grandkids, and you had your 5 years. So, retirement age is now 67. I've chosen 66. And there was a stat that came up as I was doing all of that, which said, from the World Health Organization, that said, the average healthy lifespan, in other words, statistically, the average healthy age where you've peaked is at 71 in Australia. It's something like 68 in the United States, much lower. So if you retire at 67, you might get 3 or 4 good years on average, statistically, to enjoy your life before, on average, your health declines. Now remember, average is 50% before and 50% afterwards. So half of us are already facing some sort of health issues, and the other half are lucky and about to start that journey. So you really want to make sure you're fit enough and well enough to enjoy these quieter years, to enjoy your family, to enjoy your little projects and trips, and that your mind and body is active enough. And so that hit me like a ton of bricks, and I thought, okay, it's not 83, it's 71. And that doesn't mean obviously going off and blowing everything, but maybe taking a bit better care of the one, just fix my ear up, the one motor that I'm walking around in, which is me, my bod, so that it's as healthy as it can be to carry that. Some things you can't control, as we more than know in this family, and the rest is something we can do about. And that's one of the things about emotional health too, I've learnt, is that you can't control everything. So the things you can't control, you can't control it. So make the most of what you've got. The things you can control are choices. Now, I've made some pretty poor choices, if you can look at my tum, and a lot of that's being silly with work commitments, probably too much over the years. Poor habits like carrying this phone around and looking at it too much, and not sleeping well. So a few months ago, I was really struggling with sleep apnea. Like literally, after the tests, they found that I was only getting about 45 minutes worth of sleep a night. Sorry, yes, I was actually waking up 45 times an hour, to correct it. 45 times an hour is not rest. I was wondering why I kept wanting to fall asleep. At that point, I was piling on the weight. Now, I said, this time last year, I was walking around Malta and Spain and a bit of France and England. So that's a big downhill pretty quickly, and it gave me a bit of a fright. So I spoke to the doctor, and he said, your blood pressure's too high, you're carrying too much weight, yada, yada, yada. We've all heard that. And, you know, it's time to do something about it. Otherwise, you're going to pop, especially if you're not sleeping. I literally had to pull over after 15 minutes of driving to rest and to stretch because I was literally falling asleep at the wheel. Now, that sounds like an extreme case, but that's what sleep apnea does. It becomes a bit of a vicious circle because if you're not sleeping well, you can't work well, so your brain gets foggy, you make poor decisions, you want to snack at the wrong time of the night because you can't sleep. You get distracted with the old telephone because, again, you're awake or, you know, find yourself breathing. So these are things you have to do something about. I put that off for too long, and it came to a head. I literally piled on 18 kilos over that period of time, over 6 months, pretty much, or less. And I was really unhappy and pretty depressed by it all. And my work was suffering. Not to mention I was grumpy as buggery. And so I had to do something about it because, you know, the best years are ahead of me now, and I've got to make the most of them, as I mentioned earlier. So all that came together, and I went to the doctor and got myself a brilliant dietitian. If you're ever looking for her, she'll do video calls for you. Her name is Anka Vareen, referred to me by my good friend Michael. Thank you, Michael Renahan. And she helped me lose 18 kilos, which got me started. I got my sleep tests done and on the CPAP and the old tablets. So I sound like an old bloke talking about all the things that's wrong with me, right? Well, I must be, because that's exactly what I'm doing. And those who don't know me, part of my journey through moving forward after losing Deb was to take on the Camino de Santiago in northern Spain last year, which I was primed and ready to do, and did the hard bit walking over the Pyrenees. Got there to Pamplona and got COVID and had to stop. Mind you, I had a good time once I recovered, bumming around the place, but my lungs weren't up to it. So that was the first real eye-opener that I could do this sort of thing, which helped my confidence. So this is, you know, step 2. And you know what? I figured there's no harm in resetting and having another go if it isn't right the first time. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So at the back of my place just happens to be this beautiful walking track, and kangaroos and dogs that like to smell everything, so it makes the walk twice as long and slow, but very enjoyable for us both. So that's where I'm at, and that's how I'm doing this stride for stroke, because of course one of the things about carrying all of this, having high blood pressure and a stressful professional career, and not looking after yourself and all the other bits I've spoken about, is the risk of stroke. So I'm fortunate enough to have connections who introduced me to this, and why not give something back to the people that look after the people like me who are at risk, who raise awareness and do a bit of research into seeing what we can do to either help those who suffer from it or to prevent it, ideally. and that's why I'm doing this now. And seriously, not enough kilometres, but it's only day 2, and as typically I always expect too much from myself. Oh, there's a little track. Should I walk down there? No, it looks like it's gold hunters. They do a lot of gold prospecting around here with the metal detectors. Yeah, so day 2 of stride4stroke, which is for the whole month of November, and using this to get on top of it. I don't know where you got to drink all that much water from, Bella, honestly. She is making her mark everywhere she can go. All right, we're about to get past a fenced area where there's some lovely dogs that love to yell at us, so I'll better stop now. Take care.